buttering me up, but she's done a great work for our country. She serves as Vice President of Policy at Enterprise Community Partners. Previously, and this is how I met Marion, she was a Deputy Assistant for Grant Programs at HUD. At HUD, she oversaw all the affordable housing programs, community development, block grant programs, as well as disaster recovery and resilience. Marion was at the forefront of responding to Sandy, innovating programs like Rebuild by Design and the National Disaster Recovery Program to really ensure that communities around the country have the resources to establish resilience. She is with us today to discuss what is happening at the federal level and what's coming into the country. With further ado, I want to welcome Marion.
Thank you, Lori, and one more time for the record. Stop buttering me up. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here with you. I will be the first to tell you that I am not an expert in Puerto Rico at all, and so I am so excited to be in a room full of experts because each person here in your own role in being a part of this process are bringing so much, so I'm so happy. And since Lori mentioned my work at HUD, before I start talking, I just wanted to recognize both my former colleague from HUD, who's now with a contractor with FEMA, Scott Davis, and Olga de la Rosa of the HUD office here in San Juan. Thank you for being here, both of you. So I'm going to say a few words about the federal funds. So I think folks know very much about FEMA funding that comes and is available for housing immediately after a disaster. But what people don't tend to be aware of as clearly is the money that flows through HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, which tends to have the largest role in rebuilding after disasters. The Community Development Block Grant funds come to Puerto Rico every year annually, but after big disasters, Congress makes a massive infusion. And now we're just on the edge of receiving $20 billion for the rebuilding. So I'm going to talk a bit about what that means. So those funds are used for the housing, small business, and infrastructure work on the island, and creativity has to be the guide for using that. So it's coming in two streams of funding. The $1.5 billion, already there has been some community consultation around the island about what should go into that. And I'm very excited that Secretary Heel will be here to talk later this morning about his vision for resilient rebuilding. And as I understand it, based on the timeline, we should expect to see a draft plan in just a few weeks. And so it will be very important to take the ideas that you have about resilient rebuilding and inform the comments on how that goes. And then there is an additional $18.5 billion that's going to come from HUD. That money is still with HUD, and the rules have not come out for how that can be used. So there's no planning process needed for those funds right now. $20 billion is by far the largest amount of money that has ever gone from HUD to a community impacted by a disaster. If you compare to Hurricane Sandy to Hurricane Katrina, I actually worked on this at HUD all the way back to 9/11. No community got anywhere near that much money. So most recently, Hurricane Sandy, New York, New Jersey, and New York City each got about $4 billion. And here there's $20 billion. So if you are used to thinking about the kind of resources that are available as scarce, as too few, as having to stretch the dollars, stretch your mind to imagine that there is going to be $20 billion coming to the island. And so many questions are in our minds about how can that be best used? How can that be best put to work for the resilient rebuilding? So the money flows from Congress to HUD. HUD makes it available for this action plan process. And the governor is receiving all those funds directly and goes through the action plan process. So you've seen those comments already. It's going to happen again with the second set of funds. And so this is the moment of greatest influence right now. Right now, the moment of greatest influence. After the governor receives the citizen comments, his responsibility is to incorporate those into a final plan, submit them to HUD, and that first stream of funds will be available sometime this summer. So spending will start to occur this summer. But of course, being government funds, there's a lot of process that has to happen in terms of contracting, environmental reviews, and so the reality of when you'll feel the funds start to flow is probably much later this year. And then the second stream of funds will come along and follow a later path. I think that what's going into this plan and how these funds are going to be used are going to impact the island for generations. This is a moment born of tragedy and suffering, but it is a moment of opportunity. And so that is why I was so excited to have this opportunity to bring you together and to talk about what could that mean? How might these funds be used not to put back what was lost as it was, not to return to the status quo of the island before Lydia, but to solve the problems that were pre-existing. How to make people and properties safer in the future, how to ensure there's more economic opportunity, how to be forward-thinking, and as one of my colleagues likes to say, spend each dollar 5 times so that you're creating those meaningful opportunities. The true beauty of these dollars, this community development block grant, disaster recovery money, or CDBG-DR, is how flexible it is. There is almost nothing that cannot be done with CDBG. This is not just about repairing a home, or elevating a home, or elevating a structure. Yes, it can be done for all of those things, but also to repair or replace bridges, or hospitals, or daycare centers. Everything that affects communities is on the table. There even can be assistance for small businesses, economic development. So as you do your work today, I would think, what are all of the problems that are on the table that need to be solved, and build from there? Because this money can be used for all of it. There are, yes, very many rules, and it's very complicated of how it can actually happen, but you can get there. This is the one time when all these HUD rules, most of these HUD rules can be waived, including the statute. Congress told the HUD secretary, you can waive the laws if you need to. There are a few that cannot be waived, including environmental rules, which tend to be the ones that people want waived first, because they make the projects harder and more expensive. But there really is room for a lot that can be done. So I would ask of you today, think big. Think big about what needs to be done, and to think specifically, how would you advise that all of these federal dollars should be spent? How would you advise that they leverage non-governmental dollars from the private sector and philanthropy? Incredible moment of opportunity. As Lori mentioned, the work that we're all doing today is going to inform the rebuilding manual that will be available. It'll be a living document to change so that these big ideas can be implementable. How are actual projects that are actually being built going to be designed, and how will the workers who are working on them think about their work? How will that actually happen? But in the short term, I'm very pleased to tell you that it's also going to inform work that we're privileged to do with the governor for the report that he owes to Congress this summer. And so the work that you're doing now, before we even create a manual, will influence those recommendations about how Congress hears about the housing work that needs to be done. So as I said, thank you all again for your role in being here. Thank you to our hosts. Thank you to our many partners in this project. And I'm very honored to introduce Michelle Sagman-Castillo, who you heard already from Ricardo, is someone you should know if you do not already know, although I imagine many of you already know her because she has been working on affordable housing here in Puerto Rico for about 20 years. Thank you, Michelle. So, we all know Michelle.